All right, let's talk excellence. Excellence is the aim, but it's not the goal, right? So what's the most effective thing a worship leader can do when it comes to excellence versus performance?
I mentioned it earlier, but some things are a problem to solve and some things are attention to manage. And so you just slowly bring that bar of excellence, knowing that if you aim for perfection, you're not, if you have like one or two misses, but you still, but God still honored that and breathed life into that, and you can feel the Spirit of God move, I wouldn't call that a failure. The reverse of that is true. If you hit all the beats and it was perfect, but there was just like no ounce of like, it was just stale, then I wouldn't call that a win. And so you can slowly raise the bar. You can aim for it, knowing that when you hit, or you miss certain beats, it's not the end of the world. And then if there's a certain pattern, then you go after that.
Good. All right. Should I stop doing midweek rehearsals? In fact, you mentioned that you had a rehearsal last night, I think. So should I stop doing midweek rehearsals at my church in addition to Sunday, or still do a midweek rehearsal?
We do a rehearsal, and there are some moments where we have to not do it. If we have a big event on Wednesday, and so which is what the day we normally do like rehearsals, and so in those situations, we say, well, we're going to go ahead and cancel the midweek rehearsal. We're just going to pull it together on Sunday, and then you get to Sunday, and Sunday was just fine. And you're like, well, maybe we don't need the rehearsal. But I would argue that, and this is what I've always come to realize, is that because we've put into that work and we've really trained up the people, and all the weeks that we did have midweek rehearsals is what led us to be able to have like that off week. There's just being able to figure some things out. And sometimes you think you're ready and you're prepared, and then you get to rehearsal and you go, oh, I didn't know that as well as I thought I did. Or you discover problems that need a little bit of rehashing. Well, now you have some time to go back and woodshed. In our situation, we actually record. We do a run through at the end of rehearsal, and we record that, put that on Planning Center, and then the team will listen to that and see, okay, did that harmony work? Does that guitar line, is that stepping on what the piano is doing? And it just makes it, it takes a lot of work to get from like from a 1 to an 8 in terms of like quality. It generally takes that same amount of effort to get from like an 8 to a 10. And it's those little details that can really push it over the edge in terms of making it the most excellent it can be.
So when I was on staff at New Spring Church, we would do a tech rehearsal along with the band. And I loved it because I know it was a big ask, hey, we're going to bring a whole nother team out with the band, and we're going to practice stuff while they're rehearsing, and then we're going to do a full run through at the end of the night. That was a big ask, but man, did it make such a difference because we gave them a non-stress environment, non-game day environment to play, to mess up, to work things out, all of that. And because we did that full run through at the end, we could really drive into, okay, we can make that to the details. We can make that transition better. It moved it from that 8 to 10. So yeah, I think that midweek is valuable if you can get your team to do that, and it's not too big of an ask for your team. I think you do it. All right, give me a couple tips on cleaning up my stage, not having a messy stage.
Yes, I am notorious for I don't like clutter on my stage. I think that visual noise is unnecessary. Get rid of the trees, the forest of trees of the personal mixers. For some reason, we like to put those little in-ear monitor mixers on a stand so that I don't have to move the 4 feet to reach it on the floor. I want to have it right there where I can just reach over real fast and grab it. And I get that. I understand that in the heat of the moment, if I need to make an adjustment on my mix, I don't want to have to put my instrument down or whatever. But I would say during the actual service, you should have that pretty well dialed in. And it's just we a lot of times, or the guy that will have their Ableton rig, they're the main worship leader in the center square, but they've got their Ableton rig on a table right next to them. It's why is that there? Why can't we train someone else that's way off in a corner or whatever? I would just look at your stage and say, is that necessary? Can we put the mixers on the floor? Can we, when the band leaves the stage, can we take our instruments with us, like guitars and that kind of stuff, so that when you have the shot of just the pastor focused, delivering the message, that's the only thing in the shot, and there's not all this extra clutter.
Good. All right, 2 more. Should I have a sound mixer mixing for the room and a separate mixer for my live stream, or can that be handled by one person?
You can. I mean, I think it depends on your context. I think it depends on, how what you're utilizing your live stream for. Some people have a ton of people, and they really leaned into this online church aspect. For some people, and this is our case, there's not a lot of people that are watching it, but for the few that do, maybe they're trying to they're on the road and they want to keep up with whatever. And so we kind of want the least viable product in terms of what our live stream is. Like, we want it to be good quality, but dedicating another person to run the mix would make it better. But I don't know if it's necessarily worth, the ROI.
Right.
And so in our case, we just build it off of the main mix, and I would focus primarily on the live.
On the live? Okay, so I was going to ask you that, is which mix should I prioritize, the room mix or the live stream mix? Does it depend on how much audience I have in each, or what do you think about that?
Probably the short answer is going to be I would focus on what's happening in the room. When it depends on how you're using your live stream. Some people have really leaned into like this church online experience, and they're really they're seeing a lot of people engage and connect with their church that are that live not close to where the church is. And so it makes sense to put more resources into that and to be able to have a separate person to be able to do those kinds of things. In a situation like us, our live stream, we probably have 2 people that watch it. It's our people that are like, they're on the road, they're on vacation, but they want to be able to check in. They missed because they had a ball game, so they watch it on a Tuesday. And so in business, we would call that we want the least viable product. What is the least amount of energy that I can pour into something that makes it good? I could have someone in a separate room mixing audio for that live stream, and it would be better, you bet. But I don't know if the return on the investment is there for our situation. And so we utilize a board mix, and I stole this from Andrew Stone would do this at Church on the Move up in Tulsa, where he took his board mix, which was incredible. And you focus a lot of energy in making just the live room sound really, really good. And then you mix in some room mics and some audience mics, change some things with compression and some stuff like that, and do a little bit extra. And then you can have a pretty rockin' live stream mix that's just based off the live. And then you just tell your person at front of house, make the room sound great, and everything else downstream will follow.
All right, last one for you. What are a couple things that you wish you could tell yourself 25 years ago when you started out?
Ooh, we could do a whole podcast on this.
I know, right?
I'm pushing 50. And, when I started this, I was I've always been involved in worship ministry to some degree. I may not have always been vocationally out of church, but I've played on a team, and I've traveled with bands, and I've done, a whole host of things. But, I'm definitely in a season now where there's, whether we like to admit it or not, there's a little bit of a shelf life for worship leaders. And so I'm seeing my value in training up that next generation. I mentioned Church on the Move a second ago. Andy Chrisman, who is kind of their worship pastor there, has kind of moved into this role where it's a little bit more of an overseer. And I'm watching how he's doing things, and I'm super inspired because I feel like I'm right down the stream of that. To answer the question, man, life's in seasons. And if you're in a situation right now where maybe you want to be on staff at a church, but you're not, or you're serving at a church and it's really small and you're not getting paid, and you really wish that you could pour everything into this vocationally, not have this extra 9-to-5 job that you're doing, or the season that you're in right now is just really tough because your senior pastor you just don't see eye to eye. Man, life's in seasons, and we're not always, there's one of the best lines in the Bible is, this too shall pass. And so in the moments that are really, really hard, don't fret because it's just for a season. I'm in a season right now where I have teenagers, and I'm fortunate that I love the humans that they're becoming, and they're really useful in a lot of ways, but in my ministry. Middle daughter that sings really well and plays piano, and I like serving with her. And so I utilize her a ton because I know that in a couple of years, she's going to graduate. She's going to go off to college, and I'm not going to have access to her anymore. Our house is going to be empty. And so I'm trying to make the most of this season right here. So man, if I've learned anything in 25 years, is life's in seasons. So enjoy the good ones and know that the ones that are tough, it's only for a moment, and it does make things better. You learn things that set you up and tee you up for the next season.
Awesome. Well, man, I love learning from you. I love just the insights that you not only have shared through your YouTube channel and your ministry as a whole, but just with your family and everything. Just really appreciate learning from you. How can we keep up with you? What's the best way to reach you?
And if you go to any of the socials and you type in Dave Dolphin, okay, you'll find me. I'm pretty active on YouTube, not so much on Practical Worship, but I have a channel that I call Documenting My Midlife Crisis, which is kind of tongue in cheek. I don't think I'm going through a midlife crisis. Maybe. I don't know. My wife says I am, and she says that cancer just accelerated it, but whatever. But I'm there. You can find me. That's fun, I think. I do a lot of stuff on Instagram. I jumped on this new one called Be Real.
Yeah.
And so I'm on that one. My teenagers turned me onto it, and I love it because it reminds me of Facebook from like 10 years ago. It's like, it's just literally, what are my friends doing right now? And it's the best. So, but you can pretty much go anywhere and type in Dave Dolphin, okay, and you'll find me.
Awesome. Well, man, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate this.
Man, this has been a lot of fun. It's been cool to kind of connect and to like meet you for real. This is
I know, right? I know. Thanks, man.